both incredibly level of consciousness, spiritual, in love. I met them in Bali. They had tried naturally for years. When they finally reached out, their ovarian reserve was extremely low. Hello, we are here in Puerto Cancun, one of the top niche fertility clinics here in the south of Mexico. We arrived to start implementing and celebrating some collaborations for you guys. And in this 2025, jumping in the 26, I really like reminding me of how we've been talking with the IPs. And one of them says that no one is dealing the cards for you. You create your life. So when we face infertility, the narrative about conscious parenthood and how I've been talking to them in this new year of what it's coming, what it's ahead, the ones that needs to create embryos, the ones that we need to import. This is the vulnerable human reality. That's why talking about no one is dealing the cards. You create your life. There is a moment in life when you realize something essential. No one is coming to save you. No one is dealing the cards behind the scenes. Now at 40s, at infertility, and after trying to implement the next step towards the nucleus of the society to build your family, there is no hidden hand that will arrange your life, your timing, your fertility, your career, or your family for you. We grow up believing that destiny has a plan, that the right partner will appear at the right time. When 2026, it has happened before, that things will naturally fall into place. It's a beautiful idea, but that's romantic. But it's also one of the most dangerous illusions of adulthood, especially when it comes to family creation. It's one of the most important decisions in life. I learned this the hard way. My first mentors weren't philosophers or fertility experts. They were pilots, people who live by one principle. You must take control. In aviation, hoping is not a strategy. You need to have a to-do list. You need to have the airplane ready when you take off and when you land. So waiting, it's not a methodology. No one gives you the perfect conditions, the perfect timing, the perfect atmosphere or environment. You fly with what you have. You decide with clarity. You respond. You act. And years later, standing in the middle of my own storm, losing my father, going through a divorce, and facing infertility, I realized that in life, as in flying, waiting for the perfect weather means never taking off. A blue sky with no clouds, with right temperature, the right atmosphere. This is where the idea no one is dealing the cards truly began to make sense. Because when I look around and talk with my patients, my friends, and face the mirror about my own story, I saw the same pattern repeating everywhere. People waiting for the right time, for the right partner, waiting for the money, waiting for the stability, for the opportunity, for the best job to have, for the best version of yourself, even though you are constructing along the way. But waiting for the right moment, waiting for life to choose for them. But life doesn't choose. Life reacts. Life expands when you expand. Depends on your vibration, what you are attracting. Life rewards movement, momentum, not hesitation, not doubt. One of my patients, a 41-year-old man, once told me, I kept thinking that becoming a father will just happen naturally one day. When everything clicked, by the time he came to us, his sperm parameters had declined significantly. Not catastrophically, but enough to change the path to start facing something we wanted to do. He looked at me and said the sentence I have here too often. I thought I have more time. And that's the illusion that so many of us will live in. But time is not an infinite currency. Neither is fertility. As Will MacAskill argues in What We Owe the Future Generations, the actions we take today define not only our lives, but the lives of generations not yet born. Our responsibility is not passive, it's active. And when you place that lens over fertility, over family creation, the message needs to become clear. Waiting can cost you the chance to become the ancestor you want to be, to create the family, to create the world that we live in, where people plan everything, maybe not with precision, maybe not in exactly time, everything about career, finance, travel, wellness routines. But when it comes to creating a family, must still rely on luck, intuition, or cultural expectations that no longer match biologically with reality. Research from the European Society of Human Reproduction and the embryology shows that by the time many couples start trying, the reproductive markers have already moved moved past the optimal window, not because they did anything wrong, but because society trained them to believe that time was abundant. And 80% of my patients that we talk right now, and that beliefs is one of the greatest risks of our generation. While working at Punta Minta Fertility Center, I saw this pattern every day. Brilliant people, successful, loving, intentional, conscious, and yet unaware that biology has no emotional loyalty. The body does not adjust to our ambition, to our traumas or dreams. It does not pause because you need more years to heal from what you are working through, coming from that heartbreak or that family situation or building your career or not to find the right partner most of the time. Hannah Arendt wrote, "The only true freedom is the freedom to begin." And most people forget that beginnings require decisions, not destiny. One of the most transformative cases I witnessed was a couple in early 40s, both incredibly level of consciousness, spiritual, in love. I met them in Bali. They had tried naturally for years. When they finally reached out, their ovarian reserve was extremely low, and the male side has severe sperm fragmentation. They cried, not because of the diagnosis, but because they realized something deeper. They wait for a life that never arrived. I sat with them. We entered in a therapy with the bunks, with intuition, with silence. And that's where I understood that I have lived, and I've been also waiting, trying to build and try to find the right partner. They're waiting for the perfect moment. They're waiting for certainty. They're waiting for destiny to deal the right cards. But destiny never deals. We deal through action, through responsibility, through diet, through what we are taking to our body. In this starting this new 2026 with more consciousness with who you want to become when you are going to be observed from your kids in the core of the nucleus of the society, your family. There's a philosophy behind that refuses to leave something as important as your future family in the hands of chance. A philosophy that honors science, bioethics, and human dignity. A philosophy that understands that time is the most precious asset we have. And when you look at the modern world, the global fertility decline and the plummeting birth rates, the rising age of first-time parents, we are standing at a demographic cliff. Fertility is not just a personal issue, it's a civilizational one. We are not replacing ourselves in dozens. Many dozens of countries are suffering these behavioral economic effects: mental health, caregiving structure, emotional. The fabric of the society, for example, in Japan, the average age of first-time mothers is now 31, 35. In Italy, 32, 33. In Spain, 34, 35, Mexico City. One of the most urbanized areas in Latin America, it's rising quickly as well. And every year the gap grows between when people want to have children and when their bodies can really actually sustain a pregnancy. This is right now a really important moment for increasing the birth rates. In today's modernity, everything is liquid. Careers are liquid, relationships are liquid, identities are liquid. The only thing that it's not liquid, it's biology. And ignoring that truth, it's costing millions. The chance to create families, and 1/6% of the population, it's being affected through that. That is why whenever I speak, I share my story, not as a victim, not as a hero, but as a mirror that maybe someone can feel identified, and we can start creating the community. Someone who went through life believing in timing, destiny alignment. Someone who maybe didn't invest or they think that they are losing time. Someone who learned the hard way that control is not an illusion, it's a responsibility. It's seeing ahead, it's freezing your eggs, freezing your sperm. Someone who had to rebuild himself emotionally, spiritually, and professionally after losing the partner that probably can and will become the mother of your kids, or the father, or the surrogate if you are a homoparental couple. If you are a single dad like me, the day when my father died and my marriage ended, I realized something, that life gives you pain, but meaning is something that you must create. And the deeper your pain, the deeper your responsibility to turn into a purpose. That's why my purpose of becoming maybe a single parent this year with conscious creation was not built from theory. I was built from how I transform through my experience to give this service. So when I speak to intended parents, to single fathers, to single mothers, to couples in their 40s or late 30s, I tell them the truth. No one else is telling them with clarity. You are the one dealing your cards, not fate, not luck, not society, not your past. You, 38, 43, man, woman, who came to us after multiple failed cycles, it's now pregnant through surrogacy can become an option. So if you believe and if you feel that these years ahead, you realize that you are capable to produce a good embryo quality from your sperm and your eggs, you should intentionally start working to that, having in mind that time, sperm, and egg account, it's not going to be there forever.